Tonight, only on Fox 5, she was drugged and gang raped by members of a violent Montgomery County street gang. Well, tonight, the gang members are behind bars, and she's going public, hoping to empower other rape victims and take back her own life.
I did have so much nightmares. I couldn't sleep, it was just really bad.
We don't typically identify rape victims nor show their faces.
I want to feel that it is okay, for me to be able to move forward and just leave that in the past.
But the woman you're about to meet, who we'll call Annie, wanted to share her story.
If I'm not, strong, and if I let this, get the best of me, they win. They win, and I can't allow them to win.
18 months ago, 4 men who police say are members of the street gang known as Lil R or La Raza sexually assaulted Annie in this apartment in Olney, Maryland. Annie thought it was going to be an afternoon of hanging out with friends and watching movies and listening to music. She says she had no idea that some of the people who were there were gang members. Prosecutors say the 4 members of Lil R drugged Annie, raped her, and recorded the attack with a cell phone camera.
It was horrifying. It made you cringe, and as a woman you feel you can put yourself in her shoes and imagine, and it's kind of your worst nightmare.
Assistant State's Attorney Mary Beth Ayers prosecuted the case after Detective Troy Tibbett and members of the gang task force pieced it all together.
That was awful. I think you could see that video and realize that while we only saw snippets of what happened, your imagination runs then with what was not captured on that video.
Incredibly, Annie didn't remember what happened. When she finally woke up the next morning, her cell phones, credit cards, and cash were all missing. She was furious that she'd been robbed.
At that point, what did you think happened?
I was just angry that I just didn't even think that anything happened because, I woke up in the same way that I fell asleep.
Even though you woke up the same way you went to sleep, did you not feel anything different, weren't sore or anything like that?
It just didn't cross my mind. That anger just took over my eyes, so I just feel my blood boiling. That's just what I felt, and then maybe that's probably why I probably didn't feel anything.
Even though Annie didn't have any physical injuries,
I knew that there was something wrong because I just like my body. When I was asleep, I just feel like I would just get so many nightmares, and then I would start tremoring, and then I would have nightmares about being tortured and stuff and then I wouldn't understand why.
In the meantime, the county's gang unit had already been tracking the Lil R gang, not for Annie's rape, but for a series of other violent crimes, including robberies, other rapes, and attacks on rival gangs.
There became information about a video on a cell phone that Mr. Cortez was showing off, and our assumption was that it was pertaining to the sexual assault that we were already investigating.
But it wasn't. It was the brutal attack on Annie.
It was a community member who saw this horrific cell phone video who realized that this is something that has to be reported. We can't have this in our community.
Police found video clips of the attack on a phone seized during the search of self-appointed Lil R leader Andreas Cortez's home.
In the video, you can see prominently a Steelers flag, and having an idea of who some of these people might be, the police went through Facebook pages, and they found on a certain Facebook page a picture of a room with a Steelers flag in the back, exactly like the one on the video.
Once detectives found the owner of that Facebook page, they found the person who lived in the house where the attack happened. And nearly 1 year later, they found Annie, who had no idea she'd been raped.
She showed me one of the videos. I was just like, what? I was like, how? When? I was like, what? I didn't even know what to say. And then I saw myself begging them to stop. They were just covering my mouth, and they would laugh and then just start throwing their little gang signs, and I was just like, no. I was like, no, please tell me that's not true. I was just in so much shock. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to feel. For a while, I did have so much nightmares. I couldn't sleep.
Annie's nightmares were far from over. Now she had to face the gang members who raped her and testify against them in court. She admits she was scared they'd retaliate and come after her.
Are you still scared?
I am no longer scared. I decided, I was like, well, this actually just made me a stronger person. I'll do anything that I have to do to make sure that they don't come out. I'm not afraid. I am not going to live in fear anymore. They cannot take away my life.
Nearly 6 months after the last of the 4 gang members was sentenced for raping Annie, she's still healing, writing poems and listening to her favorite music.
I just love music, period, in general, all music, because music is like the medicine for the soul. And I have faith in God, and I feel like He's given me that peace of mind that I need so much right now. And little by little, every day that passes, it just seems a little bit easier. And then I'm able to, hopefully soon I'll be able to be myself again completely. I refuse to be seen as a victim. I refuse to be a victim. I am a survivor. And that's just what it is.
A survivor indeed, incredibly courageous to come forward. Annie says she received a lot of backlash from former neighbors and people she thought were her friends after she came forward and testified against members of the Lil R gang. She's hoping those people were watching tonight saw the full story and will have compassion for her and other rape victims. She's hoping to start some sort of support network for young rape victims who've come forward and for those who are just simply too afraid to speak out. Now, as for the Lil R gang, the state's attorney tells us the gang is still active in Wheaton and Glenmont in Maryland. They also say they've gotten 22 convictions against this gang, including the head of the gang who was convicted and sent to prison for Annie's rape.
I know it's extremely difficult to talk about that kind of thing. I think it's good that she's getting the story out because this just can't go on. The details are horrifying.
And so many people are afraid to come forward. Annie and also the assistant state's attorney just kept reiterating how important it was for people out there who are watching to know they can come forward and they can be safe.
All right. Thank you, Sean.